A 1, 2, 3, 4. I love succulents and you do too. They're so beautiful, fun and new. The gift that keeps on giving on and on. So watch my videos, we'll all have fun.
Welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting me today. I wanted to come on real quick to talk about a little bit about the succulent garden. I was asked recently what would be the best plants or best succulents to plant for full sun, and I have an answer for you. I did answer rather quickly name the plants that are really good for full sun in the summertime, but I want to explain a little bit more about that, especially in really good weather like zone 9, 8, 9, and shady, maybe Arizona, or like really strong sun. Succulents don't really like really strong sun, and in the summer they don't like to get watered, so you can just try to figure out perfect formula for that. The jade plants are actually really good in full sun. The sedum, any sedum will be really good in full sun. As a matter of fact, in Spain, and I repeat this all the time because, if you're new here, you haven't heard about this, but it's a really good plant, a really good succulent to plant in the summertime because the sedum is just very resilient. The sedum is like a plant and it holds a lot of moisture and it's very resilient in the sun. It insulates their houses, and not only that, I can go through the benefits of having succulents. I would like everybody in Northern California, Southern California to actually plant succulents in their house and surround their houses with succulents, and even cover the roofs with insulation of succulent of sedum. The jelly beans are the ones that are planted on the roofs of people's houses in Spain where it gets really hot, and there's no arbors, trees to cover them. And during the winter, especially to keep the heat in, they have the succulents because succulents just thrive during the cold weather, cold seasons like fall and spring and even winter, and they actually thrive in the wintertime. So those are the ones. And there are some Ioniums that are really good, like the big dinner plate Ioniums. They love the sun. They love the sun, and they also love the cold weather. So those are the ones that I would suggest. And also succulents really, I know they're very pretty, and when I make a succulent arrangement for people, they have this inclination that they can just leave the succulents like a house plant indoors. However, succulents don't really like to be indoors. They really love to be outdoors because they really love to feel the temperature outside, especially during the winter time. And the succulents are really notorious about trying to look for the sunlight. So when you keep them indoors, they actually try to reach for the sun or the sunny spots, and where they follow the light. So but when they follow the light, they get stretched out. So an echeveria that's normally like a flower, like a rosette, will actually stretch. The space between the leaves starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now it looks like very leggy. There's still hope for that. You can cut the head off the very top and then replant it, and then peel off the stretchy leaves, the leaves that are coming out in the stretch, and you can actually propagate that. However, this is the thing about propagation from leaves. It takes forever. Okay, there are some plants that will propagate and propagate successfully, but you have to wait like years and years and years before they even get to the size that you want. So it's a good experiment to make. It's a good experiment to do for especially kids, showing them how plants survive and how plants are self-sufficient. Especially succulents are self-sufficient. I mean, I've left succulents out in the outside for a year and they just develop they're very resilient. They just develop the roots, and then all I do is like plant them, but I'm running out of space, so I don't really plant any more succulents. I really want to have a sustainable garden and use the extra space for plant food. So succulents are very resilient that way. Even if you had them inside the house and they stretch out, it's not too late to take them outside and plant them outside. If you are in a climate that that gets snowed and the temperature goes down freezing, like below freezing, then I think if you just cover the succulent, I'm not sure because I don't live in your area, but if you have them in containers, okay, so there's also advantages and disadvantages putting them in containers. When they're planted in ground, they are able to constantly get nutrients from the ground that they're planted in, because it's ground. When something dies, it fertilizes itself, or you can fertilize them. They're in their natural environment. So when a plant is in their natural environment, they're able to adapt to whatever is around them and be able to get the nutrients from the ground that they're planted in. However, if you put them in containers, then the containers it's contained, so it's up to you to feed their environment with what they want. So I would suggest that every 2 years you take them out and you aerate the containers and put new soil in so that they can get new nutrients from the new soil that you've given them. However, what's so weird is that succulents they're so resilient, and they don't really require that many luxuries with their environment. They just grow. And as long as you don't have, like before, I used to have really bad mealy bugs, okay? When you first plant your garden, you're gonna get mealy bugs. But eventually, if you feed them worm castings, the worm casting nutrients will go inside the cells, and the cells will produce new leaves and new plants that are actually resilient to mealybugs. So in the past, I've had a lot of mealybugs, and I was like spraying it every week just to keep them alive. There are some succulents that are actually not conducive to mealybugs, so they don't survive the mealybugs. But some of the plants that I have, and I don't rebuy those plants because I know that if they get contaminated by mealybugs, they're just gonna die, and then they're probably gonna contaminate my other plants. So I try not to buy the same plants that is conducive to mealybugs. Actually, Ioniums are pretty conducive to mealybugs, but I've noticed the past couple of years that my Ioniums have gotten immune to the mealybugs, and the mealybugs don't really infect them anymore. Because, and I will tell you what your biggest enemy for a succulent garden or any garden are ants. Okay, ants will farm the mealybugs so that they can get the sweet excretions of the mealybugs, and they eat off of that. So the more they carry the mealybugs into your garden, the more the mealybugs will produce this sweet excretions, and the ants just really love that. When I first had my succulent garden, wow, I sprayed because I just got tired of it. I just got fed up, and so I sprayed for the ants, and lo and behold, there were 2 queens that came out, and I killed the queens, and then I got rid of all the ants. But now I'm starting to see the ants just a little bit here and there, so I get on that right away, and I just spray again to make sure that the ants are eliminated from my garden, because those are the ones that would farm the mealybugs. So with that, I bid you goodbye. I gotta go to work, so I'll see you on the next one. Bye.